Hello YouTube family. Today we are actually going to switch topics. We're not talking about Eagles football right now. We are talking about UFC 210. That's right. I'm not going to pretend like I'm a nutcase UFC fan, but I am I'm a fan of boxing, wrestling, MMA type sports. I've coached a little bit before, and I do have an interest in the sport. So when I have the opportunity to watch the UFC or other MMA fights that I think are going to be exciting, I go ahead and watch them. And I have a buddy of mine that has a really awesome MMA group that follows the MMA world, kind of like how I follow the NFL, right? So he encouraged me to watch UFC 210, and I don't know, just like thing to talk about it, but not to make this video too long. It's pretty clear that UFC 210 was a little bit of a disappointment, and for three specific reasons. But before I get into that, I like to try to keep things a little positive. It seemed like a lot of the fights on the undercard went very well. People that are hungry for the sport, hungry for greatness, really showed up and had some pretty interesting fights. And that being said, you got to the main event cards, and those ones, along with how things were handled, in my opinion and in the opinion of some of the people in the group as well that I was invited to on Facebook, it's a little bit of a disappointment. I'm going to break it down like this. Three different things. We'll start with New York. Okay, it seems like it's a pattern of New York that when they are hosting these events, they don't exactly know what they're doing. It doesn't seem like things are as organized as they need to be. Now, of course, you have Las Vegas that is very versed in this. I mean, they have a lot of big fights all the time, but here's the deal. They have MMA, they have boxing, they have all this other stuff, right? And when they get into something like this and they have as much as experience, then they're able to handle a lot more. But if you take the boxing world and try to fit them into the MMA sporadically, they're going to make a lot of mistakes if they're not open to taking all the feedback from what is learned in Vegas and applying it to their state. Because all the different states run things different. And between not having the appropriate doctors in the building or stopping certain parts of the fight, and which will come up next, for reasons that are that you shouldn't, it's not run well when it's up in New York. Now I have a fix for that. Yes, it does deal with Philadelphia, but we'll go with that in a second. But my second point, though, is Weidman, that fight, where that fight was called because of an illegal knee to the head, when Weidman thinks that he was defenseless, or he had that move where his hands are on the ground, and therefore, per certain rules, he's not allowed to get kneed in the head. And and I kind of have a problem with this. I don't have a problem with the ref. I understand when referees want to keep the safety of MMA, which sounds a little weird, but I'm not going to kill a guy for trying to play with inside the rules. I actually put this more on Weidman because you're an MMA fighter. You're going to get kicked in the head. You're going to get kneed in the head. One of the reasons why me as a fan, I don't get too crazy about basketball is because all the fouls and all the I can't stand that, right? So I can't really get into that. But when I watch MMA and UFC, yeah, they have rules in place to keep you protected if it gets to that point. But watching the fight for me, it looked like he was pushing for that. And when you're pushing more for that and the technicality of it and everything, instead of looking to protect yourself and to be aggressive to win the fight, it makes me feel like the UFC is starting to employ people that I do not desire to watch, because I don't think their heart's in the right spot for the competition. That being said, then my third point is Rumble Johnson. Nobody understood what in the world this guy was doing when he was trying to wrestle DC, which is not his game, and then going into a territory where he doesn't really belong, getting submitted, and then retiring right afterwards. and pretty much knew prior to the fight that, he wasn't invested in this fight. Which, do what you want. I get it. I'm not going to tell you what to do and what not to do, but people spend hard-earned money to watch these fights because they believe that the individuals involved are invested in their own fight to give the best that they possibly can, not just for themselves, but the people that are paying their salary and viewing them. And if you are Dana White or whoever from the UFC, if you are employing these people of, low character or low, I don't want to say low character, low drive between Weidman and playing with these rules, and Rumble Johnson just quitting on the UFC and its fans, it puts a bad taste in my mouth for ever paying for an event in the future. There's always some issues going on with the UFC that I don't like, that people that are really passionate about the UFC that don't like, and if things aren't going well, you got to fix it, because there's a reason why UFC came up and boxes is kind of taking a back seat. You don't want to go into the same situation that is. Of course, one of my quick fixes is Philadelphia. Not saying we have all the answers, but we have an opportunity. If New York's not doing things the way that it should, and it's making diehard UFC fans or MMA fans not desire to watch things if it's hosted in New York because you expect problems, then Philadelphia has the opportunity to potentially host some bigger events. Like, we're about to have the draft soon. We can potentially host a bigger event and do well with it, and maybe import the rules and some of the refs and whatever you need to do from Vegas that are way more experienced and have a successful event here, which will help out the city. And also, we might be able to host some either UFC or whoever else in Philadelphia and give some people a shot on a bigger stage. I know we're the 5th biggest venue in the United States. Maybe we can do that and take advantage of an opportunity where things are not done well here on the East Coast like they are done in Vegas. So this is a quick video about UFC 210, about UFC in general, and about a little bit about business. I hope as fans we can intelligently talk and write comments down at the bottom. The only way to change the product that you deserve as a fan, because I want to see the fan be excited and get a good product out there, and having Weidman and Rumble Johnson and how New York's handle things is not giving the fan, which is the most important because we're the one paying for all the stuff anyway. We're the ones that need to experience the best possible product, and if that's not happening, we need to find a way to let our voices be heard and known and change the business so we experience the best. So thanks for tuning in for here, and please leave your comments. I'd like to know what you think, and maybe in the future too we'll do like a little bit of a pick challenge and see if you can pick better than my friends group there on Facebook. But other than that, thanks for tuning in, and I hope you have a great night. Bye-bye.